Thanks for watching and listening to the OGs. Be sure to follow us on all forms of social media. We can be found on our YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can follow our live game streams and our Let's Plays on Twitch. Be sure to support our partners, Gamefly, Rogue Energy, GameStop, Esports Furniture, XP Coffee, and Humble Bundle. Welcome to the OGs, everybody. I'm your host, Ryan Sparks. With me, as always, B-Max, Brian Maxberry. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Wonderful to be here. How are you?
Sweet. I'm good. I'm excited about this episode because we took some time, did some research, and we came up with what we thought was the best year in video game history. You have one, I have one, and then I think we're going to argue over which one winds up being the best, and then we may wind up saying that combined that we feel it could be a different one, maybe.
Never know.
So let's see what happens here. We're going to jump right into yours, 2001. Okay, my first question, because I actually know the answer to this, but our listeners and our viewers don't. How old were you in the year 2001?
Man, I was 14 years old, man.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's important. There's a reason that I asked that question, because I think if you go back and you always think that things from when you were younger you find like super, super fun.
Exactly.
And I think that has some bearing on that. So my 14th year on the planet would have been 1994.
Woo!
And it's one of my favorite years. So I just find it really, really interesting. It's not the one that I picked, but it's close. So let's dive into 2001 and your pick.
Okay.
So what was your best game of 2001?
Ooh. Oh, God. I wasn't expecting that.
I know. That's why I'm throwing it at you right here on the pod. Boom.
Let me look at this list I put together. Oh, man. Out of all of these games here, man, the one that really sticks out is gonna be Final Fantasy X. It is the one that
I would have lost money on that.
Because there's a lot of hitters on this list.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But that would have not been my pick for you.
So the reason why I personally picked that one is because I personally spent that much time on that one game by myself. If that makes any sense. It's a couple of games on this list that are classics that doesn't require others, but it enhances the experience. But this one I played by myself. The story I personally thought was amazing. It really like the stakes were higher than anything I've experienced that year, which is saying a lot. And the time that was required to get to the end took a lot out of me. So I was actually dedicated to seeing this one through.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
So yeah, without spoiling the story, Final Fantasy X, I know a lot of people hate...
Is it a spoiler if it's from, over 20 years ago?
That's true. Don't get me wrong, like Square Enix kind of ruined it too with the Final Fantasy X-2. Sorry if there's anyone here watching that really enjoyed that game, but I really appreciated just the complete package of just Final Fantasy X. Didn't need the extra stuff, even with the weird cliffhanger at the end. But I just loved all the characters. I know Titus or Titus, however you say his name, the main character, a lot of people didn't like him, thought he was kind of whiny, kind of annoying. But his supporting cast, all those guys were so cool and so memorable. Shout out to Waka, as annoying as he is. I thought he was actually kind of cool. But he had a nice little story arc, and Riku had a cool story arc, and just Yuna. Like, there's so many characters that I could just ramble on about. So many different worlds, bosses. There were so many different boss battles that either I was mentally prepared for and nailed first run, or others I was stuck on and had to get online, as crazy as that sounds, in 2001, and to do a little research and figure out how to make adjustments to my character builds to go back and get through these boss battles. For me, that was just something I wasn't used to doing. I wasn't super big into JRPGs, and that was the one that completely got me like hooked into JRPGs when I had the time to actually play them. So out of this list, as crazy as this list is, even though we haven't even talked about the list, it's going to have to be Final Fantasy X.
All right. So Final Fantasy X was your game of 2001.
Yeah,
Your game of the year, your personal game of the year. All
man,
right.
it's tough to
So,
say that, but yeah.
all right. I'm going to argue the point for another game from 2001 that I think
Okay.
was more influential than that one. And I know it's on the list. Halo Combat Evolved.
Woo, man.
Hey, so for me, that would have been the game of 2001. But that's because it was also the game of 2002 and probably 2003.
Mm-hmm. Until
And
the other one released.
then 2004, the second one released.
Right.
Right? So I think for me, that would have been that in that year, that would have been the one for me. Although Smash came out.
Man. And it's funny you mentioned those two games. Those two games, if correct me if I'm wrong, those were launch titles. So the Xbox, the OG Xbox, and the GameCube released in 2001. And the OG Xbox released with Halo Combat Evolved. And the GameCube released with Super Smash Bros. Melee. Are you kidding me? Like, how amazing is that?
I'm looking that up to confirm
Please
the
do.
Smash Brothers one because I think that's right.
Think they were launch titles.
But I'm
But
not
man,
100. November 21st, 2001.
wow. For Halo and for the
And
Xbox?
it was a Melee. Melee was the launch title. You're right.
And that was September for the GameCube launch?
November.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, November 21st. I thought that you were right, but I was like, something in my mind is like,
Yeah.
I could be wrong there. Like,
Close. I was close. But yeah, so having those two systems to launch that year, and then each of those systems to have these two games to release on those consoles, come on, man. They really had you excited to own those systems.
what's
And then,
really, really interesting about that is that
Mhm.
IGN has an article still up on their website from December 2nd of 2011. Super Smash Bros. Melee is the perfect launch title.
Man.
I mean, it still holds true. I think. Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably everybody's favorite Smash. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
even with the new one, you still have people talking about this one, right?
Yep, I agree. You're absolutely right about that.
So, what other games came out that year that makes this such a strong year? I mean, those three titles alone could fight against any other games along the way. But
so we did spend a lot of time, well, not a lot, but we talked about GameCube and Xbox. We spent a little time on PlayStation 2 because of Final Fantasy, but every single person that has owned a PS2 has probably spent a little bit of time with Grand Theft Auto 3. Whether they were allowed to or not, this was a game that legitimately like changed gaming to a certain extent. There are so many open world sandbox games that have a little bit of influence from Grand Theft Auto 3. We could do a whole separate episode just on that topic alone. The story was fantastic. It was one of those interesting games where the main character never opened its mouth, but all the supporting characters around him were really unique. The writing was fantastic. The music was great. And the cool thing about the music being great is it really came down to what genre of music you enjoyed, because the radio stations completely complemented the ear of the gamer, depending on what type of music that they were into.
yeah, I think that GTA 3 can actually be can be credited for the Forza Horizon games having the soundtracks that they do.
I agree
and that's
with you.
not, even though they both have cars in them, they're not even close to the same game.
No, you're spot on. I agree with that. That's a really good comparison there. I agree with you there. But yeah, so Grand Theft Auto 3, just that's probably something that people would consider as like a probably top 20 game of all time. You know, and the fact that it came out in the same year as Halo Combat Evolved, Super Smash Brothers, Melee, Final Fantasy X, that's more of a personal preference. I don't know. I'm not sure if it would hit some type of a big list like that. That's just me. But in that same year, we got another game that's probably considered one of the best games ever, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Think about how crazy of a twist it was that the main character that you controlled in this game was not Solid Snake. Like, that was the craziest twist. And this is something that probably wouldn't work now, thanks to leaks and social media. But Hideo Kojima just really shook the industry with, like, I don't know if you remember this, but you had a playable demo if you had dang, what game was that? It was a game where you played as mechs. I forgot the name of the game. Something we can look up later. But if you played this game, it came with a demo disc for Metal Gear Solid 2. In the demo, you played as Solid Snake, and this was the beginning of Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. But when you get through all of that madness, you're actually playing as Raiden. Who's Raiden? What the heck's going on? And then you just learn to love this person throughout the story. You're invested.
Was Zone of Enders the
Thank you. Yes,
demo?
that was it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Zone of Enders.
No, I thought I wanted to say that's what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. It's a very interesting thing for me because that Metal Gear game, like, I feel like it was supposed to release earlier, and it got delayed.
Ooh, it's possible.
And I'm trying to think. I want to say there was something in that game that caused them to delay the release of that game. And I'm not 100% sure. It has something to do with 9/11.
Ooh.
And there was something 9/11 related that caused the delay of that game.
Dang. You might be onto something.
Okay, so there was part of the plot. So it says, while any resemblance between the plot of Metal Gear Solid 2 and the actual attack on 9/11 is coincidental, the game does explore numerous themes that rapidly increase in relevance in the aftermath of the 9/11 tragedy. Both thematically and formally, the game has the preoccupation with data collection and vulnerabilities associated with big data, which become all the more relevant in the post-9/11 audience.
Wow.
So that is from an article from Game Rant. I knew that there was something 9/11 related,
right.
And I know that game got delayed because of that.
Dang. I know that happened to the Spider-Man movie too, remember? Like the first initial trailer had the webbing, fortunately, in between the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of make some changes.
That's actually noted in this article as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it says notably that this includes changes made to the 2002 Spider-Man film, which removed the World Trade Center from the promotional material for the movie.
This really...
GTA 3 was also delayed.
Wow.
So they could make the game look less like Manhattan.
Yeah, because Liberty City... Mm-hmm. No, wait, sorry. Is it Liberty City? No. What's the name of the city that's inspired by New York and Grand Theft Auto? Is it Liberty? I think it is, actually.
In GTA 3?
And like, so all the Grand Theft Auto games, they have cities that are inspired. Yeah, it's Liberty City that's inspired by New York. And then there's Vice City that's inspired by Miami. And then Los Santos is inspired by LA. So yeah, Liberty City is supposed to mimic New York. So it definitely makes sense that they would kind of delay the game to make some changes to where it doesn't like instantly make you think New York City.
Yeah.
Man, that's so wild. Think about how much time and effort as a developer it takes to like create a world. You have no idea what's going on the outside because it takes years to make these things. And when you're ready to launch, there's this history-changing disaster that happens that kind of throws things off. So interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how I remembered that.
Right, that's wild.
But I knew there was something about it. Like some reason in my brain, I just like there was something about that game that made those delays with all that stuff going on. I mean, there's just been a lot of things that are affected. When you look at game releases, and we can move from 2001 for a second and look at 2019 and 2020, right? In a pandemic.
Yeah.
Talking about like games that could have come out at different times because of, this, that, or the other. So, or even this year, right? We have a bunch of games that have now been pushed to 2023.
Right.
And everybody's saying, is 2023 going to be the best year in gaming? And everybody's like, possible, but we don't know. And that's kind of where we got the inspiration for this episode, right? Like, there's a lot of talk about how 2022 was supposed to be the year that everything gets back on track gaming-wise. Yep. And now there's talk of a possible recession.
Yep.
And then how does that affect the gaming industry? And typically, recessions haven't affected the gaming industry at this point, but there's a lot of talk about the possibility that it could.
Yeah, I think it's kind of already happening. So like, I know this is something that you don't track that often, and I don't expect most people to. But when PlayStation 5s go up available, like online to purchase, I just kind of check it out to see how fast they sell out, and usually it's in minutes. Lately, that has not been the case. There are times where I'll get notifications that PS5s are available online to purchase, and they sit close to an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour. And I'm talking at retail, and I'm not talking bundles, just the console
regular.
itself. Well, kind of like they have like bundles where it's the game with Horizon. I'm sorry, it's the console with Horizon Forbidden West, but they're pre-packaged. But I'm not talking like a GameStop bundle where it's the console, 4 games and a controller. You know what I mean?
Controller and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you bring that up, because I got my notification yesterday that my Steam Deck is available to purchase.
Wow.
And I'm not going to do it.
There it is.
So in all seriousness, a lot of our expendable income has gone to paying for gas money right now. With the gas prices going up. So some of the money that I would normally be able to be like, I can set that aside and kind of be prepared. Like $648 for that top of the line Steam Deck is just not a reality right now.
Exactly.
So it's interesting because, Rob Fahey from GamesIndustry.biz had that article out. Was it it's been 2 weeks now, I think, about how the coming recession will hit the industry hard. So that's definitely worth checking out. Again, it's GamesIndustry.biz. And we'll put that up when we tweet out the episode of this show as well, so people can take a look at that.
Yeah, we also need you
something different.
We also need you guys to tag Gabe Newell in all of our posts and let Gabe know that Ryan needs his Steam Deck for free.
He's gonna be like, bro, you get all those Valve games for free. You don't get any.
We need Gabe to hand deliver this thing to Ryan's
Gabe,
park.
Gabe, can you hook a brother up?
Like, we know you're watching.
Yeah. We miss you. We got to meet you at. I want to say it was at Anaheim at the GameStop conference in Anaheim.
Was it Vegas or Anaheim? One or the other. But yes,
I think it was Anaheim.
There. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. It might have been Vegas, because I think it was the year that we roomed together. Actually,
yes, it was.
So it was Vegas for sure.
Yep.
Because that was also the day that we saw the Kardashians and that.
Man, shout out to Vegas, man. It's just wonderful.
Because I was like, well, was that Kim Kardashian? And everybody was like, nah, man. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally her.
It's definitely
camera crew.
Why would I make this up? Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're going to see some interesting things as far as releases go over the next couple years. But you had 2001. I tried to avoid that year altogether. For me, it was 2004.
Man, some bangers.
So I was 24, if we're going to put the ages out there.
There we go.
So in college at the time. So a time when you can spend a little bit of time gaming, but not a ton. But Halo 2, like LAN parties were just a thing of beauty. Like that was something that happened all the time. So that was the first game that caught my attention. Now the other interesting thing, Metal Gear Solid 2 was on your list from 2001, right? So Metal Gear Solid 3 released in 2004. So both years that we picked as our games year had a Metal Gear Solid game in it. And a Halo release in it. That's where you can see Sony and Xbox kind of trying to go head to head, right?
Yep.
Now, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Man,
so another GTA.
Pretty similar.
Yeah. But there's some really interesting games in this year that most people didn't think about. My favorite football game of all time was also released this year. ESPN NFL 2K5. It was the last.
Yo.
So that's my favorite football game other than Tecmo Bowl. Tecmo Bowl is always going to have that special place,
Right.
for me. But Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap released, Half-Life 2, World of Warcraft, which is still super popular to this day.
Still a thing,
right? But those are some of the big ones for me. I know a lot of people love that Katamari Damacy game on PlayStation. Not my cup of tea, but I can see why it was fun for a lot of people. But yeah, dude, I think that 2004 might be it for me as the best year in gaming for me personally.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a wonderful list of games. These are some bangers. So wait, what was your number one game from this year?
Halo 2.
Halo 2. Okay,
Halo 2 for sure.
So for me, Halo 2 is a special game, man. So before Halo 2 released, I thought I experienced online gaming with my PS2 in dial-up, and I did not. I went to a buddy's house, and I experienced real online gaming with Halo 2 and broadband, and I legit got a part-time job just to upgrade internet at home for broadband internet to play online gaming the way it was meant to be played. That sounds insane, but that legitimately is a thing that happened. And Halo 2 was it. I didn't know what a clan was until Halo 2. I scheduled time to play online with people I knew personally and people that I met just from online to play this game. That was a special moment for me too. So that I can totally see why that's number one.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break right now, but we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about some of the other games that stand out in other years that are some of our favorites of all time. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Be sure to visit our sponsor, Rogue Energy, and use the code Delusion.Group to save 10% on your next order at rogueenergy.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. So now, since we've covered the years that we think are the greatest, now we're going to cover a couple of years and just talk about some games that came out this year that we think are some of the best games in general. So let's take it all the way back to the 80s. Let's start off with 1985.
Hold on, what year were you born?
I was born in 87, so I wasn't even here yet. I was like,
you weren't even here yet. That's why I was like, hold on, I'm pretty sure you weren't even born yet. So let's talk about 1985, Brian. You tell me how games were in 85.
Actually, I didn't obviously play these the year that they released.
I guarantee you've played at least two of them that are on this list.
There it is. Took it right out of my mouth. I've definitely played Super Mario Bros. I've played the Oregon Trail.
There you go.
The graphics version. And I've definitely played Ghosts and Goblins. Those I can definitely point out and say those are great
games. Did you play Gauntlet?
So I played not the OG original Gauntlet. I played like the re-release, like the PS2 N64 era Gauntlet in arcades. So can't speak on that, unfortunately.
So the year before you were born is a super, super good year for Nintendo.
Yes.
In particular. And it was almost my year. I almost picked this as my year because I
see why.
I was like, okay, so 1986, I was 6 years old, 5 and 6. Metroid, Dragon Quest, Legend of Zelda, Castlevania, Kid Icarus, and then one of my favorite racers of all time, Outrun.
Yes, man.
That's just a few. Just a few.
Those are bangers.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of really, really good ones at that point. Like,
those are like godfathers of gaming. Like, if you think about like seeds planted in the ground and watching them branch off to other things, there's so many games inspired by Metroid, by Dragon Quest, by Legend of Zelda, by Castlevania. Like, this is nuts. So yeah, 86 was a great year.
They're still releasing Dragon Quest games.
Come on, they're still releasing those.
Yeah.
And Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
And Metroid. Those are still around. Kid Icarus a couple years ago, but
yeah, Castlevania.
I
mean, I'm sure we'll see another Castlevania and Metroid literally have a term that was created for them. Like, they are a genre. Metroidvanias, right?
That's a thing.
So,
yes.
I mean, 1986 is the reason for that.
Man, that's wild.
So your birth year.
Hey, let's go.
One of my top games of all time was in this year.
Is it Punch-Out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Tyson.
If you go back and look on our page, actually on our YouTube page, you can find a video of me playing Punch-Out and beating it. It's way back. Like, I played it a while ago.
Gotcha.
But then I just recorded a video while I was on vacation of me playing Super Punch-Out and beating it in under 30 minutes.
That's like an episode of your favorite TV show. Think about that.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
When everybody's like, oh, I don't want to pay $60 for a game that's only 4 hours long. And I was like, we used to beat games in 30 minutes, y'all. Like, let's be real. But yeah, your birth year is a good one, because if it wasn't for your birth year, you wouldn't have your Final Fantasy X to play, because the original Final Fantasy released in 87.
Very true. Wouldn't have Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Yo, beat 'em ups. Double Dragon. Come on.
Yeah, we just played a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? That game's definitely inspired from Double Dragon. There's zero
Hands
question.
Down. No brainer. You're right about that. Freaking Mega Man. He's hovering right above me.
Yep.
Mega Man series. 87. Come on.
Just his head. He ain't got no body.
At all.
He ain't got no body.
Yeah, Contra. Yeah. Unfortunately, the newer ones aren't what the old ones were, but Contra started off as a really fun game. Great co-op.
I'll never forget Contra, because you could get hit by like one bullet and you're dead.
You're out. Man.
Yeah. Like, now you get a whole bunch of bullets shot into you and you're still alive. That's my biggest complaint about Call of Duty. Like, I just unloaded a whole clip in that guy. How did he not die?
Why is he still up?
Yeah. So we'll skip forward a few years. 92. I mean, a couple really big ones for me here. Super Mario Kart. And Mortal Kombat. Those are the two that would stand out for me.
You have to type in the blood code on Sega Genesis. I don't think did the SNES have a blood cheat, or was it always split?
I don't think so. I think it was always split. That's a good question.
Well, yeah, I think it was the Sega Genesis version. You had to put a code in for blood. But yeah, the SNES version, you were just punching sweat off of the people all the time. But yeah, shout out to Mortal Kombat. A lot of fun. Mario Kart, dude. Like you were saying, like, come on. I still play Super Mario Kart. Like the Super Nintendo like the OG
version
one.
every once in a while. Like, every once in a while I dig it out. There are only 8 people you could be, but like, I loved the battle mode in that with the balloons and stuff. Yeah, I remember playing that a ton. And that's in the current one too, which is a lot of fun to tackle and play.
I feel like I spent the most time with the battle mode on the N64 version. That one was just...
Well, I think, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into N64, because that's coming up, right?
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. But multiplayer was a different beast because of N64 and Dreamcast.
Definitely.
So let's just skip forward. Let's skip forward to 1996.
Let's do it.
Super Mario 64.
Whew. Man.
Right?
One of the best games ever. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. It's a special game.
I think for the time, I think it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think going back and looking at games on the Nintendo 64 now, I look at them and go, "Oh man, what were we thinking?"
Yeah, they look rough.
Like, they are a little rough, and I'm okay with pixelated games. Obviously, I like indie games and 16-bit and 8-bit still.
Same.
But 64, it's in 3D. Not really. Like, he had like a squarish face, like, I don't know how, if you're watching, you get what I'm saying, but if you're listening to the podcast right now, you're like, what's Ryan doing?
Like, what's happening?
But like, the faces weren't round, right? Like, the hair was always really rough, like, but I mean, some of the best games on Nintendo 64, like, I loved Mario 64.
Yeah.
But it just does not hold up now. I mean, especially you have to go think about it. So, in the same year that Super Mario 64 was released, Diablo was released for PC.
Jesus.
And there are two different worlds, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Completely two different worlds. But the following year, which I was 17, and I actually tweeted something out today, the day that we're recording this. So if you want to go back in our Twitter timeline, it would be Tuesday, about this game, GoldenEye 007.
Oh, man.
1997.
Whew.
Possibly one of the best multiplayer games of all time.
Definitely.
But going back and looking at it now, it's rough.
Yeah.
But like,
once again, it didn't have just like Mario 64, there was no second analog stick.
Yeah.
So imagine playing an FPS with one analog stick.
It does not hold up under today's standards.
Yeah.
But that game, countless fights, and just shouting matches over that. And Rare, I mean, the games that Rare put out, between that and Rare did the Donkey Kong Country,
all of those, all games, all the Donkey Kong Country games are just classic games. So much fun.
The last really good Castlevania came out in 97. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's the gold standard for Castlevania games.
So don't judge me, Ryan. I've actually never beaten that game.
Well, I've never beaten it either. I've played it.
I've played all the other ones after it on the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color.
I don't remember ever beating that game, so I can't say anything about it. I'm also a person who tends to not beat them.
Got you.
But that's just one of those weird things where I play up to some point and then get burnt out and go,
right.
No.
That's okay.
But Mario Kart 64 also came out in 97.
That's a good one.
The game that is considered by many to be the best Final Fantasy of all time came out in 97, right?
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. So hard for us to pick other years when we're going through these, right? Like we're like, that year was really good too. 98, the one that stands out for me, and you mentioned playing online earlier in the first, like your first online experience. StarCraft was mine.
Oh wow! Yeah,
I remember building a PC for the first time solely to be able to play that game. And play that game online, and you basically you could dial into your friend's server and play head to head on that game.
Love it.
Metal Gear Solid was that year. Half-Life, Legend of Zelda.
Man,
so a good year for sure, right?
Ocarina, yeah. Fallout 2, Resident Evil 2. Yeah, that was a good year. That was a great year. Funny story about Metal Gear Solid. So my uncle Keith had bought the game and told me to try it out because it was a Christmas gift for his son, my cousin, little Keith II. And I'm playing this game, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever played in my life. I played like maybe an hour at it. So I go back, and I'm like, yes, you have to give him this game. This game is amazing. And but then in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, why would you give him a game that you open? Most people don't open games. And sure enough, I guess maybe my dad wasn't sure if it was a gift worth giving, but we both got it Christmas morning, and so we called each other because we used to play games together. And unfortunately, Keith didn't have a memory card.
Oh no!
And so he spent his whole Christmas day playing Metal Gear Solid. And he beat it before me, obviously, because he didn't stop. He would pause it, obviously, to live life, but he came back to it, and he didn't want to overheat his PlayStation, and he beat that game. And I want to say, within less than 24 hours.
That's really funny.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid is such a great game. I know you hear about rumors and stuff all the time, but that's one of those games, man. I would love to see, like, just not remastered but remade from the ground up. Like that needs to happen.
All right, Konami, here it is. Here we go. Let Kojima make that game.
Let's do it. You like money.
That's it. like
PlayStation and Sony they have money.
I
They want
know
to do it.
y'all. I know y'all are bickering and fighting or whatever's going on, and he left and did his own thing. Give him the rights to make that game, even if he has to pay you a percentage. Like that's the next game we want from him. Yes. Everybody wants it. It's not just me. Everybody wants it. So let Kojima make the next Metal Gear game, please.
Come on.
99. My favorite fighting game of all time was released in 99.
Really?
It was. And it's the series that to this day I can never get enough because of the character creator.
I know where you're going with this.
Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Soul Calibur and the create a character modes were always so good. But the other game that I played a decent amount in 99 would have been Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is entertaining because, as you know, I don't like roller coasters. I have zero interest in them. But I used to love building them in that game and watching people throw up after they got off of them. That was kind of a thing.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, that one, that's probably the only two from 99, I would say, for me.
Come on, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? That was a great game.
Yeah, a lot of people like that game. I never got into that. I never got into Skate.
Really?
I wanted to. I really wanted to enjoy them, and I just never really got into them. I remember when Skate 3 released, and everybody just was going nuts, and I'm like, guys, I don't get it. The soundtracks in those games I loved. I thought the soundtrack in Tony Hawk, that was the reason why I wanted to play it, because I really
great music.
That was my the music I was into, so I wanted to play that game, but just never got into it.
Yeah, the big difference between Tony Hawk and Skate would be I would consider Skate like a simulator. You could do crazy tricks, but you couldn't go crazy like you could in Tony Hawk. And it after the first 3 or 4 games, it started getting out of hand. But yeah, great series. They always had little Easter eggs where you could unlock characters. I think you could play as Spider-Man in one of the games or something.
Oh, really?
They had a bunch of
that makes sense because didn't Activision own the rights to both of those things?
Yes. Yep. Exactly. And but yeah, no, they're great. Like you were saying, one of the big standouts of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series is just the soundtracks in each of the games just being fantastic.
So, 2000. For me, the only game that's on this list that I could care about is WWF No Mercy.
Same here,
WWF
buddy.
No Mercy. That game was so good.
Yes.
That game is the reason that I continue to play WWE games to this day. I think that No Mercy 64 is right there with WrestleMania 2000 was really good too. Mm-hmm. But I think this one was the one that really, really got me into hardcore playing wrestling games.
Same here.
And I played all of them up to that point too, but THQ made this game, and it was it eventually was their downfall, I believe, with the licensing and the how much they were paying for WWE rights.
Because they peaked. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because it was so good, and then it was there's so much pressure for them to continue to put out high quality stuff, and then they did. They had the WCW rights for a while. WCW NWO Revenge was THQ.
Yeah. Yep.
And Ukes, they partnered with Ukes on some of that stuff. That's why I'm excited for the AEW game, because Ukes is working on that with AEW, and I'm pretty stoked to see how that goes.
If the AEW game plays anything like the No Mercies or any of the games you just mentioned in 64, I'm all in, man. I've never even watched a single episode of AEW, but I will.
It's okay. You'll know some of the people. You'll know some of them because they're former WWE guys.
There it is. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting take. If those games play where you flick the one analog stick to do your special move, and it has those old school controls feel, I think a lot of people are going to be in.
Yeah.
I think all the OGs will come out of the woodwork for those games for sure.
Yep. Like me.
Yeah. We talked about 2001 already. 2002. This is a year, and I know people are going to shame me for this on social media. I don't care about a single game that came out in the year 2002.
What?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. And
Eternal Darkness. No.
yeah.
Have
Nope.
you played it?
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I've played every single game on this list that, like, as I was researching, I've played them all, and not any of these stand out to me and go, "Yeah, that was a sick game." Like, I loved that game.
So you're telling me? I think it was called like the Insanity Meter. I could be wrong. You're telling me that that meter didn't wow you? Like the only game that ever messed with me outside of the game was Metal Gear. So to see something like that in Eternal Darkness, where I'm thinking someone's messing around with my volume and turning my TV off, like that, I loved it.
Yeah.
It blew me away. I thought that was pretty interesting for gaming.
There's nothing. Like, I never got into Elder Scrolls. I tried to enjoy Morrowind. I've tried to play Skyrim. I've tried, like, that series does nothing for me. This Super Mario Sunshine is probably the most overrated Mario game of all time, in my opinion.
I'll actually agree with you on that. And I love Mario, but I agree with you there.
I mean, I dressed as Mario with the Mario hat and the Sunshine shirt for Halloween last year. And it was kind of a joke because it was like, hey, this is the one that I don't really like out of all of them.
That's funny. We both dressed up as Mario. Have you seen my pictures? I think I sent it to you.
Yeah. So, I actually put that out on our social media at some point and was like, both hosts dressed as Mario for Halloween and didn't know it.
Didn't even know it.
Didn't know it. Yeah. But yeah, nothing in 2002 caught my attention.
Hold on, before you skip ahead, I gotta talk about Metroid Prime for a hot second.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Everybody loves that game. Everybody loves that game.
I'm sorry, it's too easy to talk about, so I won't spend too much time on it. But just think of all the cool Metroid games you've ever played, and then picture it in first person and done right. That's it. That's all I got.
I appreciate the fact that everybody else appreciates that game.
There it is.
I don't like. I just didn't, and I don't know. I mean, I had some other stuff that was going on in that time period, so I don't know if that just like kind of turned me off of. Right, like I didn't play a whole lot right then. Yeah. But like none of those games had me like, man, I gotta go get that. Like,
yeah. Funny thing, because Metroid, I wasn't actually sure about it, and this was when we could just go out and rent games. I rented it, and I absolutely fell in love. And I'm like, I gotta own this. Like that game was just amazing to me.
Since we're in that time for game rentals,
like, oh hey, nice.
Were you the only? You weren't the like. I know I wasn't the only one who on Friday nights would go and rent a game for the weekend, and the goal would be to beat it by the weekend. Like,
come on, man,
right?
Come on,
like that's everybody. All of you OGs out there in the community, y'all were doing that. We're excited to partner with GameFly. So
yeah,
it's a new partnership that we just worked into today, actually. And we're really excited to have GameFly as part of the OGs family. So we'll have more information about GameFly available for y'all here very, very soon. But the idea of being able to rent a game for the weekend and play it through the weekend, like, it's just a lost thing. And I think kids miss it. Like, they don't even know what they're missing. Because there's no feeling better than getting a game that just it hit for the weekend. And there was no feeling worse than a game that you rented thinking it was going to be awesome.
It just kills the weekend.
Crapped the bed.
Yep.
Like, you get it, you're like, yeah, I'm hype, I'm going to play this. And then you put it in, you're like,
what? What did I just sign up for?
It immediately would take the wind out of your sails, right? Like, if you got a bad game for the weekend. But we're excited that we have GameFly as a partner moving forward. And here's a little note from them, and we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're still going through like some of the best games to release throughout the years, and we are in the 2000s. We are gonna hit 2005. special year for me. That's the year I graduated high school. How exciting is that? It's also the year that I've played Resident Evil 4, one of the best games ever. I think I talked about that episode 1.
Yep.
If you haven't played it, either play it now because it's on everything, or wait for the remake because that looks really good. And I want to say it's March 2023. Definitely going to be worth your time.
The year you graduated high school was the year that I had my first kid.
Wow, look at that. Papa Ryan.
So yeah, AJ was born in 2005. Along with Guitar Hero.
Ooh.
So I remember actually at one point holding him in my arms. I don't remember how. I think it was like I had the neck of the guitar here, and he was in my arm, and I was strumming the guitar.
I love it.
And there's a picture somewhere of that happening.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, there is a picture somewhere. There's a couple. There's a lot of pictures of me holding kids and playing. So, that's the one game of that year for me. A game that I missed that year, that was remade, and I'm so glad. And I'm not a fan of remakes and remasters, but I'm so glad they did this one, was Shadow of Colossus.
Yes, man, I absolutely love that game.
I would have never played that had they not remade it.
Oh, got you.
Because it missed for me in 2005.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because God of War was out.
Yeah, dude, that God of War.
So God of War and Guitar Hero were the only two games I think I played in 2005, other than Madden and probably NCAA. I would say those were... That's probably a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, completely valid. But real quick, like Ryan was saying, if you completely missed out on Shadow of the Colossus in 2005, if you own a PS4 or PS5, it's probably $20, and it's a really unique experience. Definitely worth it.
Isn't it part of the greatest hits stuff?
Is it? I might have to look that up real quick. Because if it is...
I think it is. I could be wrong, though.
There's a lot of first-party stuff on there, so that does make sense.
Let's
see how easy...
I'm looking it up to see. I'm pretty sure it's part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now. So right now, it is on sale for $9.99, and that sale ends July 7th, 2022. However, if you have PlayStation Plus Extra or above, it's part of it.
So not the primary, not the basic one.
Right, not the primary. So you need extra or premium.
If you're religious and you downloaded the things like I did when they were free for PlayStation Plus, you definitely have it.
Got it.
Because it was March's free game of 2020 was Shadow of Colossus and Sonic Forces.
Yep. Yeah, real quick, if you're not doing that, if you have just basic PlayStation Plus where you're spending $60 a year?
Yeah.
The first Tuesday of every month, just add the free games to your collection. You don't have to install them. You just add them to your library. You're already paying for it. Just do it. And if you're bored one day, go. You got games. What's that?
Take the freebies.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Free 99. It's my favorite price for games. I mean, some of the best games that I've played over the course of time have been games that were free on PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, like on Gold.
Yep, these services, they feel like a burden, but if you really take advantage of all the stuff they have to offer, it doesn't sting at all. You're really getting your money's worth.
For sure. So we can move on. We'll skip 06. We'll go right to 07. Guitar Hero was one-upped in 2007 with Rock Band.
Man.
Where you could finally play the drum parts. Yep. Right? Get the big old drum set. Halo 3 came out that year. Man. Super Mario Galaxy.
Ooh.
Arguably one of the best Call of Duties of all time. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Come on.
It was the first time they got out of World War II, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so big. Mm-hmm. Warcraft Burning Crusade. So big the first expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big year too. And then something that just got released on Switch this past week. Also released in 2007, and that's Portal.
Oh, you're right. They did just do that.
Yeah, the Portal Companion Collection just released this past week on Nintendo Switch. So if you've never played the Portal games, go check that out because that's worth it.
Yeah, those are so fun. Very unique games. Definitely recommend it. Portal is a lot of fun.
So 2009, Brian. A couple
Oh
really good
man.
games on that list. Which ones stand out for you?
Whew. Man, this is a special year for me. I'm sorry, I hate to be sentimental when talking about personal life, but this is the year that I became a father. This is the year my daughter
Yay!
was
See?
born. I did not stop gaming.
Nope. Hold that
um,
baby and hold that troller at the same
yep.
time. Yep.
Left 4 Dead 2, very important. But the one that really sticks out, actually, there's two that stick out. I'm sorry, I'm cheating by picking two, but Batman Arkham Asylum and Uncharted 2. Those were two of the most honestly important games I think that released that year, at least for me personally. Uncharted 2 tells one of the best stories. Oh, I'm sorry.
I started playing Batman Arkham Asylum in 2009.
Uh-huh.
I finished Batman Arkham Asylum in 2013.
I believe it, man. Life gets in the way. I know it sounds bad to say that, but
but it took me 4 years to 100% complete that game.
Well worth
like
it.
All the achievements, all the hidden
Riddler
stuff,
trophies.
Yep, everything.
Nice.
4 years later.
Yeah, I can honestly say I just played through it. I didn't do all the extra stuff, so I've never done that.
Yeah. So that
props to you.
That's the only Batman game I've done that with because I was like, yeah, I'm done with that. 4 years later, we're done. 2010. Two of my favorite games of all time were released this year.
Man,
Red Dead Redemption and StarCraft 2.
Wow, I thought you were going to say something else.
No,
sorry, go for it.
No, and I guarantee you're like, really not Mass Effect 2?
Right? Yeah.
I have this weird affinity for the StarCraft games, and I think it's because the first StarCraft was the first real multiplayer game that I played on PC, like over a network.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that series. I so badly want them to release a new StarCraft game. Like, Blizzard could release the next StarCraft game like whenever they want, and I will be like, shut up and take my money. Shut up and take my wife's money. Shut up and take my kids' money. Whatever money.
Whoever, like, wherever's coming from.
Don't care. Like, I'd be throwing it at them like, you can have it. Like, I could not get enough of that game.
Nice.
I still have it installed on my PC. I have played... I would say probably thousands of hours.
Wow.
Of that game. It's that and Civilization are my two go-to PC games when I just want to kick back and just play and not really think about what I'm doing. Like, just relax and play. Those are ones that I just go back. And people would talk about how stressful StarCraft is, and you watch the competitive players play, and you're like, oh my god, they're really good.
So it's funny, like the StarCraft series is one that I've completely missed out on, but hearing you talk about it so passionately, like I'm really curious to see what's going on. Like I gotta, like I'm familiar with what they are, but I've never actually played them, so I'm really, I'm thinking about checking these out.
It's an interesting take on. So if you've ever played the original Warcraft games, where it was like the RTS, before World of Warcraft came out, StarCraft was essentially those Warcraft games, but set in space.
Nice. Okay.
So you built like a space, like a colony, and you had barracks that you built, and like different technology things to improve your stuff as you went. I just could never get enough of those games.
Love it.
I really need them to release a third one. And I know, like, we're gonna get Diablo 4 well before we get a StarCraft 3, and I'm okay with that because I love the Diablo series too.
Right.
But I am 12 years out from my last StarCraft game. Like,
I was just gonna say, now that Microsoft owns Activision, you know, like now that Microsoft owns Activision, a lot of these IPs that have kind of been hanging out, sitting still, won't be sitting still any longer. You know.
I would expect StarCraft to get a new one relatively soon. So you played Batman in 2009, the Arkham Asylum. Did you play Arkham City in 2011?
Yep.
Or did Skyrim steal all of your time?
So I tried my best to find time for both. But I spent way more time with the Batman game versus Skyrim. I really tried. Like Skyrim is something I went back to, after all the re-releases and having the time. But when it first released with just family and career, didn't hit the way it hit for everybody else. So definitely I can say now that I appreciate it for what it is, but at the time I completely missed out on it. Batman, I was definitely able to get through.
Were you a store manager when Skyrim released yet? Because I was an assistant at the time.
You know what's funny? I was not a store manager. I was still at Florence.
Training in
Mall Road. Yeah, Mall Road training. And
I thought so. So because the night of that midnight release was when our poster got stolen off the wall at Turfway.
Oh God!
Like somebody came in and took it off the slat wall and put it under their arm and
just took it. Just out of here.
11/11/11 for that Skyrim release. I was pretty sure you were at Mall Road still at that point.
Yep, I was.
Yeah. So because I remember that night going, all right, well, somebody just stole our poster, but there's really nothing we can do about it. So how do we order a new frame?
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, that year, Batman was probably the only one that spent a lot of time with. But to think that Minecraft is 11 years old.
That's so wild, man.
And still kicking.
Selling.
Selling. I played it this week.
Yep, I watched my son play it this week too. I haven't played it myself in a couple of years, but yeah, my son still plays it like on a weekly basis.
I legitimately take things out of 8-bit and 16-bit games and try to create them in the Minecraft world.
Oh, nice.
And like I have a Donkey Kong and a Luigi at the bottom of a ramp, like instead of Mario at the bottom of the ramp, like as if there's a Donkey Kong level being played in one of my worlds.
That's cool.
But yeah, and I have a Fix-It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph.
Nice.
I built one of those. But
that's cool.
I just think that game in creative mode is super fun.
I agree.
And to see that they're releasing Minecraft Legends, which essentially is a MOBA that's coming out here soon.
Within the Minecraft universe?
Within the Minecraft universe. I'm really excited because I thought Minecraft Story Mode was really good.
Yeah, that was neat.
And then I love Minecraft Dungeons. I love that game.
Yeah, I still haven't played Dungeons yet, but I'm not sure if you've messed around with it on YouTube. I'm sorry, not YouTube, but Netflix yet. But they have maybe they've removed it, but they have Minecraft Story Mode on Netflix.
Yeah,
and so they'll pick all the cutscenes that progress the story, and where you make decisions, you'll just use your remote or controller to make the decisions.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I haven't done that one.
Really neat for people that may not, play games on a regular basis to check out.
So we'll skip 2012 and we'll go straight to 2013 because I think there's a game on here. I venture to say that one of the series I'm thinking about beyond Final Fantasy, because I know you love that. 2 games on the list for 2013, and possibly a third. Could be 3 of your top 10 games of all time.
Man, there's definitely after looking at what we have pulled up, there's definitely one on here that's on my list.
Okay, so is that The Last of Us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's one that I knew for sure.
What was the other one you were thinking?
The other 2 I was thinking was GTA 5.
Yeah.
And then Assassin's Creed 4.
So yeah, as someone that just appreciates gaming in general, GTA 5 is definitely would be on the list. I don't think I would put it on my personal list, but if I'm hired to create a list, GTA 5 is definitely on there. The story is just amazing. The 3 main characters that you're swapping around, very all unique in their own way.
Franklin is my favorite individual character in the game.
Yeah, Franklin was awesome.
And then is the other Mike? Is Mike the?
Yeah, I think it's Michael, and then
Trevor.
Trevor,
yeah. Trevor's
Man.
cracked out, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But Michael was the one that I thought of all the three main characters in that game. Michael was the one that I just related with the most.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he's just trying to get over all the crap that he did in the past and is like trying to get his life figured out and get everything straightened out. And everything just keeps getting worse.
Right. No matter how hard he tries,
he's like, I'm trying everything I can do to not deal with this crap anymore. And then it's just some more BS.
It was always fun to like swap to Trevor. And have you ever noticed he like?
Oh yeah, he's in the most random places. Yeah. Well, the one time I switched to him, he was just naked, passed out on the beach.
Yes. Yep. I've experienced that before too.
And I was like, okay.
I love that.
My favorite scene in that game, actually, well, there's two. One of my favorite ones is when you're like chasing the paparazzi, like for the girl that's.
Oh yeah.
So I love that scene, and then. My other favorite scene in that game is when Michael pulls down the house of what he thinks is the tennis instructor.
Right.
It turns out it's not his house.
That was a little awkward.
Like, it's not his house, yo. Like, what are you doing? That's not my house. Yeah. I like those are by far like two of my favorite scenes in that game. But Assassin's Creed 4 is still my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
4? Are you playing as which assassin are you playing as?
4 is the one that's the pirate one.
Yes. Okay.
So, I have the pirate flag that's usually up behind me. I actually took the Rock Band set out, so it's not covering up the set anymore. But I loved the pirate aspect of that game. Like just the being in the ship and going and attacking other ships, and I used to love the game Sid Meier's Pirates.
So this is right up your alley then.
So this was yeah. Like this one is one that like I own this on every console.
Yeah, it didn't just re-release on Switch maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, with 3 and 4 were a bundle.
Ooh, okay.
So, it doesn't look nearly as good on the Switch as it should.
Right, but hey.
But it plays well. It still plays well.
Nice.
The controls just hold up.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a big deal.
I agree.
So we're running out of time. I know we want to try to stay within this hour time frame, so we're going to skip to 2017.
Yeah. There's just like at least 3 games that everyone should be aware of if for some reason they missed out on these.
All right,
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Just be real quick, must play. It's a perfect 10 if you pay attention to the scores. If
every open world game that has been built since then is compared to this game.
Yep. And then if you like 3D platformers, Super Mario Odyssey, no brainer, must play.
Yep, my 5-year-old's favorite Mario game.
There it is. If you like JRPGs, Persona 5, a must play. And the cool thing about Persona 5 is that it has finally been announced that it's coming to everything. PC, Switch, and Xbox if you don't own a PlayStation. So look out for that. That is a must play if you like JRPGs. Definitely worth your time and money.
Do you want to break your controller? If the answer is yes, you want to play Cuphead.
Oh, God, man. Worst thing about it is
that's why I preface it with, like, do you want to break your controller? Because this game is one of the best looking games of all time. It is one of the most fun side-scrolling games I've ever played. But I have broken multiple Joy-Cons of playing it on the Switch because of how you try to control the characters the way you do. Like, all of a sudden that controller has stick drift. Because you're trying to do so much, like...
Yeah. It's one of those games that has like that old school difficulty attached to it that we're not quite used to anymore. You know, would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but without a doubt.
But every like just the way the game is designed and the artwork, you're so intrigued to just power through that. It's like a sick form of torture because everything is just designed so well and it's so beautiful to look at. But you really gotta power through the bosses to get to the next one.
Oh, there's so zero question. Zero question that game is old school feel.
Yeah, definitely.
The music has that old school feel. They do some really cool things with it. I But I legitimately have never broken as many controllers as I have playing that game. Not even necessarily out of frustration, but like
Right.
just trying to do so much to
Yeah.
make it happen.
Right. Just maneuvering in general.
Yeah, yeah. And so the following year, this is the year that we want to debate over. I think
Yeah.
we both picked the years that were best for us. You had 2001, I had 2004, and I think we're both wrong. Because I
Man,
think that 2018 is really the answer here.
that was 2018 was a crazy year. Like there were so many bangers. The funny thing is, I feel like PlayStation of the most, or maybe I was just wrapped up in it because I was there. So like when you look at the list, some of these games ended up eventually re-released later on other consoles. But like Monster Hunter World, for example, at the time was just PlayStation and Xbox, not PC.
Yeah.
You know. But then there's Marvel's Spider-Man. That's only on PlayStation, but it's coming to PC like this year.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of games, or God of
My
War.
favorite game of all time, probably God of War.
Now on PC, but at the time only on
Right.
PlayStation.
I think that's probably my favorite game, single player game of all time.
Yeah, it's a
I think
fantastic
it's a pretty
game.
safe bet. Shadow of Tomb Raider.
That was fun. That was a good time.
A game that nobody played but everybody loved was Octopath Traveler.
Yep. Because that unique art, it was sprite work.
It's
It
so
looked 3D,
good.
but it was 2D. Like, there was a lot going on with that artwork there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
great game.
like it won so many awards for like art and design and all those things. And then people were like, I didn't even play this game. You're like, all right,
Like,
well,
what?
you missed it because it's good. Forza Horizon 4.
Beautiful game.
Pokemon, the Let's Go Pokemon games came out then, right?
Is that Eevee and Pikachu?
And Pikachu, yeah.
Yeah. Tetris Effect. I know that's one of your favorites. It's on everything now, but at the time,
and it is
PlayStation
owned
4
on
and VR.
everything in our house.
There it is. Smash Bros. Ultimate. Switch. A must play, a must own if you own a Switch.
A game that a lot of people don't give enough credit in 2018 for being just a solid platformer, Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah, that was actually a good time.
Kirby does not get the run that all the other Nintendo titles do.
No, you're right about that.
And speaking of Nintendo titles that don't get the run that they deserve, Star Fox does not get the run that it deserves. And Starlink Battle for Atlas on the Switch included Star Fox. And we were talking about this before we started recording the show. I loved this game.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people didn't play it because it was a Toys to Life game, and you could actually buy the Toys to Life figures up like last year at the dollar store. I picked up a ton of them since I had already owned the game and had the digital content. I just wanted the little figures, so I bought everything I could find at like Dollar Tree and stuff. But that game just missed because it was too late in the Toys to Life series. Right? Like it had already missed like Skylanders, Disney, Infinity, all those Toys to Life games missed already. But yeah, like Mega Man 11 was one of your favorite games, right?
Yeah, it's funny. So I missed out on it in 2018. But there's an eShop sale happening at the moment, and I caught it. I think for like $15. So I just started that. I've gotten through 3 stages. It's really neat because it feels like old school Mega Man, but it's new school. So it's totally worth your time if you like those types of games. Definitely a lot of fun, and it's really neat to beat a boss, get a new ability like all the old games. But then they have like this overdrive feature with the L and R buttons where you can slow things down, or you can overcharge your abilities. And that kind of changes the way you would platform and the way you fight bosses. So
that's cool. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, definitely a good time.
I'm guessing I probably have that and just haven't gotten to it.
Knowing you probably already own it.
Yeah, I probably do own it.
Did you play Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yeah, that was the last one I was going to mention because I think for me, other than God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Red Dead Redemption, if you're a single player story person,
what more do you
those
need?
3 games were fantastic.
Yes.
And I think that was something that everybody was like, well, is it going to be God of War or is it going to be Red Dead? And it's like, it doesn't matter which one wins Game of the Year at which event or which award show, because they're both candidates and they're both two of the best games out there.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
But I think that Red Dead was a lot of, let me just get on my horse and ride.
Yeah, just explore and get into some madness.
Well, and that was the issue I had with Breath of the Wild as well. Everybody used to laugh because I had played 10 hours of Breath of the Wild and still only had 3 hearts. But it had unlocked almost the entire map.
Yeah,
because I would just ride around on the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did with Red Dead as well. So, but 2018, I think, Brian, is better than both years that we picked.
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna need the chat to kind of chime in. I think I picked a pretty good year, but at the same time, it's for personal reasons.
No, I get it. I would love to hear from our community. Hit us up on social media, OG's Pod, the OG's Pod on Instagram. Let us know what year you think is your personal best year of gaming, and kind of let us know if we were wrong or not.
Right.
Where were we wrong along the way? What games should we like that we don't?
Yep. Yeah, if it wasn't
don't even bother to mention Metroid Prime because I don't care.
Yeah, I already did my rant. But no, if it wasn't 04 and if it wasn't 01, let me know what year and let us know why. And if you don't want to go into detail, literally just pick 3 games. And
I mean, I would think it would be interesting to hear. Like, I'd be interested to hear what Deranged that was in our chat the other night. In our Let's Play stream, High Anxiety Media. I'd love to hear, what their top games were. For those of you that catch us on our Let's Plays, we love when you comment in there. So, while we don't do the podcast episodes live, we do the Let's Plays live so we can interact with you all. And that's an opportunity for you to hop in and tell us what you like about the pod and what you don't too. So,
exactly.
But we're gonna wrap it up here. I still think we might have been wrong when we picked our years. I think 2018 might be the answer.
2018 was wild.
We're hoping that 2022, the rest of 2022, and then 2023, we're looking forward to some great games coming out in the next year or so. So, anything you want to shout out before we sign off, Brian?
We haven't announced what we're playing yet next week, so stay tuned. We will be live streaming, usually Wednesday nights, so look out for that. Actually, if you got any suggestions, let us know.
I had a suggestion, and I don't know what I did with it.
Well, you know what? Let's keep it a surprise. You guys got to stay tuned.
I did happen to pick up a game that I know you own.
Ooh.
That we could play multiplayer.
Ooh, I think I know where you're going with this.
So yeah. So next Wednesday, right? Next Wednesday night we'll do our usual live stream. It's a late start, around 10 p.m. So Eastern time. So be sure to check us out there. If you're not following us,
I'm sorry, real quick. I didn't mean to cut you off. If you can't make it, we do upload to YouTube. If you can't make the live stream.
Yeah, if you can't make the live stream, be sure to follow us on YouTube so you can catch those after the fact. And we'll have some additional little content pieces throughout. Like if there's big news that comes up, we may record a one-off where one of us hops on and records something real fast, and then we throw it out there. If there's some huge gaming news out there, don't be surprised if you start seeing some of those pop up here and there.
Definitely.
But we're really excited about this next year coming forward in 2023 when it comes to games. So I can't wait to play some of the stuff that has already been announced. But I still have a huge backlog to try to knock some out on.
Same.
Which I'm going to do tonight, actually. So
there you go.
We will see you all next week for some Let's Play of a game TBA. We'll announce that after you've actually watched this episode. We'll release that probably closer to our Let's Stream night. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You can catch us on any of your favorite podcast platforms. If you don't want to see our ugly mugs on camera and you don't want to watch the
what do you
video,
mean? I think we're pretty attractive, Ryan. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I have a face for radio. So you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. What else am I missing? Anchor. If you're listening to podcasts, we're on all of those platforms at this point.
Exactly. Yep.
We're so good that Amazon put us on our last episode twice.
Let's go. Come on.
I just looked tonight and it's on there 2 times. So one says it's been listened to like 20 times. The other one said it was like 15. So if you combine the two, we're doing okay.
We're doing something right.
Yeah, we're doing okay. So be sure to check us out on all your favorite podcasting platforms. We'll do our best. We're out on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We're just trying to get some content out there, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. We know that your time is limited, so we're going to do our best to cut these episodes down to try to get them in that hour time frame if we can. But we like to talk.
Or just chip away. Hey, I'm not asking you to sit down for hour 40 and just listen. But there's a chance you're driving somewhere. There's a chance you're doing dishes. Chance you're sweeping, or you're working and you're not on a conference call. Just listen to us. Just kind of chip away at it like a snack.
This episode has 3 separate segments: 21 minutes, 21 minutes, and 30 minutes.
Come on.
So you can get it in small, manageable chunks if you'd like. If you're on a 20 or 30 minute commute, so
it's like 3 episodes of a TV show, right?
There you go.
You can do that. You guys can listen to that in a week, all right?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll catch you all next time, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the OGs, and we will see you soon.
See ya.